Turn off the alarm. Oh, I was like... Oh yeah, like this is really fun. Even if yeah. So they're like, yeah, cool. Oh, nice. Yeah. I speak PC. There's this new mini.
Apologies. There we go. God damn it. Every time I fucking record a show, everything goes to shit. Anyway, piggybacking off of what I was saying before when you couldn't hear me, I got a question for all the Glovers out there. Do you miss IGC? Did you never have a chance to go in the heyday? Did you miss 4KC as well? Uh-oh. We got a fucking hacker in the chat. Shit. Just wanted to let you know, guys. G3, YouGotMoves.com, coming to you in August. It's gonna be off the chain, dude. And you know your boy's gonna be there. If you don't come for a fucking light show, I got nothing to say to you. I mean, I don't know what you want me to do. If you don't come, you're a loser. That's all I'm gonna say. However, on today's stream, you know what we got going on. We got our boy Shane from StoneOrbits.com going to break down all of the goody things happening with the Vortex Gloveset. Shane, how you doing today?
Doing fine, thanks.
Alrighty, let's bring up that face. Let's get this person banned, whoever is spamming the chat with online strips without clothing. So yeah, as the title says, we will be making a flashing pattern with the Vortex Gloveset. Now this is going to be from scratch. This is going to be much more of a reference video than anything. So hopefully this will be a good video for you guys to bookmark. Sorry about the audio issues in the beginning of the stream. But I know for one that, you know, if nobody watches this, I know I am at least going to have to refer back to it for any customizations that we make going forward. So just here as a resource for you guys.
Right.
Now, to get us going here, I have nothing downloaded. I have just the Vortex Gloveset right in front of me and a cable. However, I have never gone into the software. I've only dragged and dropped files onto the gloves themselves. That's all I can do as of now. So, if you're like me, and if you're in the same book, follow along. Shane, let's do this.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay. So I guess we should start by getting your Arduino installed so we can start modifying. That would be a great beginning. Excellent. So the first thing first, we should probably pull up the GitHub for the Vortex code. It'll make everything easier. I'll send you a link right there in the Discord. So that will take you to the GitHub page, which has all of the Vortex firmware as it currently stands.
Beautiful.
And yeah, so first we're going to have to install Arduino to get it working, but this is what we'll be working with once we do. Yeah. So first things first, if you scroll down the page, you'll see there's a section that says installation. Yeah, and under there's a link to the Arduino's website. You could also Google it, but that link works.
I will send this link into the chat right now.
Excellent.
For everyone's goody goodness to use. I'm also getting rid of some inappropriate spam messages and getting that person banned from the chat.
Exactly, because we don't need them.
Perfect.
There.
We got our GitHub.
Unnecessary. Yeah.
Let's get some music going. My apologies. Jeez.
We are
with so Vortex Gloves Obsidian, we're just gonna download this entire package, I'm assuming.
Yes, but first we're going to need Arduino set up. I mean, you could download it first. You can click code and then download zip, the little green button, and then download zip is on the drop down from that green button.
Put that right here.
Yeah, we don't need that quite yet. First, we'll need to go to the installation section. If you scroll down the page a little bit, there's a bold title that says installation.
Bam.
And perfect. And there's a link there that says arduino.cc/en/software.
Bing, 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 bing.
Yep.
And last update for Windows. I'll just download for now. Ladies and gentlemen, we get to learn how to code today.
Oh yeah.
So
Gonna be
as
some
a
troubleshooting
Oh
to
my
be
God.
sure.
As a background, I have never coded in my life. Always have been interested, intrigued. But this will be the introduction to coding for me. And so so when we say from scratch, we mean from scratch. Okay, now that we got the Arduino, I'm assuming I'm gonna extract that.
Yeah. Let me see. You should go onto the website, click the download button, and get it for your version of Windows if you're on Windows.
Mm-hmm.
And then unzip that or install it if you haven't already. Whichever.
We're going. It's gonna take a while. It's a lot of files.
Oh, is it?
It's,
Um,
The fact that I'm also streaming right now, it's using quite a lot of my computing power.
Yeah, it's only about 100 megabytes for the installer. And then you can just click on the installer to install it, and I don't have a visual of your screen, so I don't know how far along we are.
I'll let you know when Arduino has extracted. We are still in the extraction process. How's everybody in chat doing? Quite fun indeed. I am very excited to learn how to do this. Guess we're not using nightlies. What is nightlies?
Oh, that is, I think, a build version. It is. That's like a beta testing version.
Oh, that's a.
I'm not sure if that's right. So when you downloaded Arduino, did it come in a zip folder or did it come as an installer?
A zip.
Oh, you should probably have clicked the installer version.
Well, shit.
I didn't realize.
Did I not? Oh shit. All right, hold on. Oh, I can't. Wait, no, these aren't links. Are they?
I can share my page and show you what I see.
Is it Windows app, right?
Is that there might be. There might be. I was just talking about the link directly at the website. Oh, the Windows. Yeah, the Windows 7 and newer. So I just shared my screen so you can see specifically what I'm looking at. You should have gotten to this page and downloaded this one with the Windows 7 and newer.
Gotcha.
And it should be like a 100 megabyte executable file, and you should be able to double or single click it to start the installation.
Bing, bang, bop. That was way quicker.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, it shouldn't be. It's a very tiny program. Relatively
I can't
tiny.
read. Come on.
But that's good. So once you have that installed, we just need to set it up so that it works with the Vortex gloves. It'll need to know what kind of board is inside the Vortex gloves, and it'll need to have a copy of all the libraries we need.
Okay.
Which sounds very technical, but it's really just like all the background information it needs to get started.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah. But once this is set up, we'll get into the actual code.
I'm so nervous.
Oh no, it's okay. Like I said, I just actually committed a new branch to the repository, and that to you means nothing. So what I meant to say is the updates I've been working on.
Do I want to install Adafruit Industries LLC ports?
Is that just like a pop-up it's suggesting to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do want to install some Adafruit stuff, but I don't know what it's referring to.
Chat, Chameleon, do you have any idea?
Let me see if I can find the stream and I can see what you're looking at. I don't know. Can you put a link to the stream in the chat?
Yeah.
Hey.
Just should be on youtube.com/Nights.
Materia lights, that's what it was.
Oh,
I
was it?
missed
Yeah. Sorry.
That's okay. Boom.
Got me.
Yes, live. Here we go. I did it. Yay.
Hit install on all. You got it. All right. I heard Chameleon's cry to have me install everything. Bam.
Yeah, install it. Install it. You're right.
You got it. Here we go.
It good.
Just checking. I'm so used to computer programs just being bloatware. So.
Yes, you're right. No, but Adafruit is a very trusted service. We're using their product as the foundation for this for the glove set. Without Adafruit, we'd be gloveless for a long time.
Beautiful. Well, with that, I have Arduino fully installed. I have the
Yay!
check that right now. I guess the Vortex Gloves main folder, which is going to be
Yes.
done in 3, 2, 1, done.
Well,
with that.
Oh, did you? Yeah, you're just extracting it. Yeah, that's fine. Just put it on your desktop or wherever's convenient.
Mm-hmm.
And now let's go back to the Arduino software. Is it open? The green and white window?
It will be... Now it is.
Okay, cool.
We're here.
So what we want to do is go to the Tools drop-down. And then... Oh, actually, before that, we're going to go to the Files drop-down and click Preferences. Then you are going to... Let me find the right line. I believe it is this one. Copy. Click on the Additional Boards Manager URLs section. There's a little like blue box you can click for it. At the end. And you're going to paste this line that I just put in the chat into that area. So what we're doing here is we're basically the Arduino is predisposed to work with a bunch of Arduino products, but Adafruit makes compatible products, and we are giving them the location of where it can find the information about those products.
Okay.
So that's what that is, and then once you've pasted that into the Additional Boards Manager section, you can click OK, and that should be good to go. Next, we'll go
Discord
to
chat, right? Yeah.
Yes, in the Discord chat. Did you find it?
I did indeed. I paste
There
it
we
here,
go.
and I'm also going to paste it in our YouTube chat
Cool.
as a resource.
Excellent.
This is the link that we're referring to. And I'm going to click OK. We are
Yep.
there.
There you go. Go ahead and click on the Tools drop-down now, and then navigate down to Boards. And the first option should be Boards Manager. You're going to want to click on that, and it'll take a moment to load. Sorry.
Got it. Okay.
Tools, Boards, Board Manager. Perfect. So this can take a moment to load and populate the list because it's checking the various resources, like the one we just added, for what's available. So you're going to type into the search. You could capitalize it or not. It's SAMD. Normally it's all caps, but it'll find it either way.
2 bits ARM Cortex and 0 plus.
Yes,
First option, at least for me.
but yeah, we want to install Adafruit or I'm sorry, Arduino SAMD boards, 32-bit, but we want to install a specific version.
Okay.
You want to install version 1.6.20.
1.6.20.
Yeah.
And
So the reason, normally you'd want to install the latest versions of all the boards, but there's a library that we're using that is not compatible with the latest versions. So we're using the versions that it was last compatible with when I first started using it.
Gotcha.
Once you've installed that, we need to install the Adafruit SAMD boards, which is usually the next result. And for that one, you want version 1.5.14.
Should I wait until the first one installs completely to start the next one, or do they all kind of just like stack up?
You can wait if you want. They should be able to queue themselves.
My computer's going through a lot right now. I'm just gonna let it one by one here.
It is, for whatever reason, dealing with the boards is very resource intensive, even for good computers. Or maybe it's just not optimized.
Okay.
But yeah, that is definitely something that takes a while. Occasionally.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just these two packages, and this will allow us to find the Trinket M0, which is the board at the heart of the Vortex gloves.
Understood.
And you don't really need to know what that is, but for anyone who's curious, it's a SAMD21E processor, which is what that's what all this SAMD stuff is. I'm not even sure if that's how you appropriately pronounce it. I'm pretty sure it's SAMD. But that's how I always said it. It may just be SAMD. But yeah, that's the core of the Trinket, which it's the main processing unit, the microcontroller itself.
Oh. All right.
Lots of different hardwares built on it.
If anybody needs a visual representation of that, here it is.
Yeah.
It's this fucker. I would like to install that Arduino board. Yes. I am not going to update. I'm at 1.6.20. The next one is Adafruit Sandy boards. That one was 1.5.14.
5.14. Yep. And these are all listed on the GitHub, so no one needs to memorize this. It's literally a step-by-step instruction on the GitHub README. So if you intend to do any of what we're doing, all you have to do is go to the GitHub, and all the information's there.
But if you like a little handy step-by-step, here we are.
Yeah, absolutely. We're walking through it for additional support.
I'm praying that something goes wrong so we can just troubleshoot, but not really at all. I don't know why I said that.
No, it's okay. So far, the only things that went wrong was the first time we tried to do this, I had everyone installing the latest board versions, and it was no longer compatible, and we couldn't figure it out. And then I was like, wait, why don't you try my board versions? And they downgraded, and then it started working. So that's how we discovered. It took like an hour to figure out, too.
With that, we have the Arduino SAMD board and the Adafruit SAMD boards installed.
Excellent. Okay, you can go ahead and close the board manager. The next thing we're going to do is go to the file drop-down again and go to Preferences. And towards the top, you should see Sketchbook Location with your address on your computer of where it's located. Click Browse to open that folder up. Or actually, you might just want to open a file explorer with that location, if that makes sense.
I mean, it's a pretty simple look. It's just the Documents folder.
Yeah, but it usually is just Documents folder, but there was another problem where it was assigned to a random folder for someone who set theirs up, and it took a long time to figure that out too. But so basically, you just need to find this folder and navigate to it, which is usually in your Documents under another folder called Arduino.
Gotcha.
Once you've gone here, you should see inside that folder a folder called Libraries. Do you see such a folder?
I do. I have clicked on it.
Go ahead and excellent. And go ahead and on the folder you extracted to your desktop, if that's where you put it, you can copy all the contents of the library folder there into this library folder.
Oh wait, I'm doing something separate. You're saying to do this in a file manager or a file explorer?
In File Explorer.
Okay,
yeah.
Let's do that.
That way we can navigate or direct these files there. Basically what we're doing is we're taking the libraries, which give a bunch of background setup for all the things we need to do. One of the libraries is for running the LEDs. One of the libraries is for running the infrared communication system. One is for saving and loading things from the flash storage, which is kind of spoofed flash storage. It's faked.
Gotcha. So in this Arduino libraries file, what file goes in there?
So go to Arduino's libraries and then find the zip file you downloaded. There should be another libraries folder, and you only want to copy the contents, not the whole folder.
In the Vortex Gloves main folder?
Yes, in the
Gotcha.
Vortex Gloves main folder.
Libraries, and just copy that directly into the libraries, or overwrite the previous libraries folder?
You could overwrite the previous libraries folder or copy the contents, but you do not want a libraries folder within a libraries folder.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. The idea is to replicate the structure. It's a complicated way of saying.
Or within the contents within is what you were saying earlier. Okay.
Yes. You could extract the contents or copy the contents into the libraries folder. Perfect. And then, yeah, you can overwrite any copies, especially if it's just a README. Okay, good. So that should be everything. You should now have all the libraries needed to edit code and all the boards needed. So we're good to go and get started.
God damn. All right.
So go back to the Vortex master folder and go ahead and navigate into I think the folder within it with the same name, I believe.
Vortex Gloves Obsidian?
Yes. And open up the next folder as well. Or get all the way to the lowest level folder. Click on the Vortex Obsidian. And then, go ahead and click the Vortex Gloves Obsidian v1.ino. The green one. Yeah. And so that is the main document. And now you have the code open up.
I can click out of this one?
Yeah, you can exit the other window. You no longer need it.
This feels like too much power.
Too much power. You have all the code at your fingertips.
Holy shit.
It's pretty crazy. If you were to scroll all the way down to the bottom of that page, you don't have the line numbers on. But if you go to your file and preferences and tick the box for display line numbers, nice. You will have the line numbers, and you'll see about 2,500 or 2,600 lines of code. So I've actually got a newer update, but we're going to test it on this one for now before we download the newer version with the cool quality of life things I've been working on recently. Yeah, it's really intimidating the way it is. Part of the refactoring is making it less intimidating, separating all the components onto different pages and making it really easy to go through, because it turns out that code is much easier to write than it is to read, as opposed to most other communication and languages are much easier to read than write.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so go ahead and go click on the tools drop down. Do you have your Vortex gloves plugged in?
They can be in a matter of seconds.
Sure, go ahead and plug them in, and then on the tools drop down, you can plug them in first, or you can do this first. Doesn't matter, but you need to do both. On the tools drop down, go over the board section, and this time, one of your categories that under board should be Adafruit SAMD, 32 bits, ARM Cortex M0, and Cortex this very long, but Adafruit SAMD or SAMD. Yeah,
okay,
and
so
then
it's
under
within
that,
Arduino, got it. Adafruit.
yes. Go down that list until you find the one that says Adafruit Trinket M0. Oh, it doesn't look like you have the Adafruit boards installed.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You did install them though. You clicked when we were in the board manager, right?
Yeah. Followed everything you said.
Cool. Go ahead and close out this window and then reopen it. You have to close all of the Arduino windows before reopening them sometimes, because sometimes they don't load everything appropriately.
Gotcha.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, usually if you get that little startup loading screen, it means that it's done. So go check your tools menu and boards again and see if you have Adafruit. You do not have Adafruit board. Okay, click on the board manager again. And hopefully that opens relatively quickly. Yeah, it looks like it didn't install somehow.
What the hell?
So go ahead and search SAMD again. SAMD. And see what it says under Adafruit SAMD. Oh, I do not see Adafruit on your list. Was it there before?
Previously, yeah. For this one, it just is not here
Gone.
anymore.
Well, that's new. Okay, so why don't we go double check your board preferences? You can close the board manager and click on File Preferences and make sure that that link is still there under the additional boards. Oh, it's gone. That's suspicious. I've never had that happen before. So go to the additional boards manager and copy the line ending with .json.
Sorry, you're gonna have to repeat that one.
So go to the File Preferences and under Additional Boards Manager URLs towards the bottom. Click that little window and add the line we added before. It's in the chat.
GitHub.
Yes, the Adafruit GitHub.io yada 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 .json or JSON. I never know if you say all the letters. I think if you capitalize it, you say all the letters, and if it's lowercase, you pronounce it.
JSON Derulo.
That's what I always think.
That's the only thing I needed to change with that setting, though?
Yes, and then you click OK, and now the boards manager should show the appropriate boards, which is very weird. It almost as if you've somehow got Arduino going in 2 locations.
I have Adafruit Circuit Player on Export.
Oh, you do have new boards. Oh, no, you don't have new boards. Yeah, just click on the boards manager again and type SAMD. We're gonna have to reinstall the Adafruit one.
Gotcha.
Not sure why. Oh, it says update. It's already there and installed. Is that correct? Oh yeah, and you have the right version. Okay, don't update it. We need that version.
Remove
and it didn't
install it.
We could, but we could also close and reopen Arduino and see what that does.
Let's see. Any other Arduino? Anywhere else?
That is strange that it lost the library somehow. It's almost as if it moved locations to where it was installing them. When we opened the Vortex folder. Very strange.
Ooh.
Yeah.
There's a new thing here. Hold on.
Okay.
Adafruit, how you doing? Hey.
Excellent. Yay.
We did
it. So, yeah, scroll down. That was very strange. But okay, we didn't even need to reinstall it. We just needed to re-add it. Yeah, so go our Adafruit SAMD, scroll down, and look for Trinket M0. Correct.
Bam.
And yeah, so now it knows, the computer knows what it's looking for. Then go ahead and plug your Gloveset in if you haven't already.
Activate.
Yes.
I need my button presser, which is a plastic thing from command strips, but it literally presses this button so goddamn well.
Perfect. You actually don't need that little button this time.
Fuck. Well, they were already plugged in.
But yeah, but you can just plug it in regularly, just regular plug-in.
So it doesn't have to be green, just...
It doesn't have to be green.
But if it is green, is that okay?
It will make a difference. So what we're about to do next is, it's okay both ways, but so why don't you turn to the normal mode first? Just as if you just plugged it in and nothing else.
No light. Plug it in. I have tiny red light.
That's fine.
Perfect.
So if you click the tools menu, now that it's plugged in, and then you go down to where it says port, a few spaces below board.
Gotcha.
There should be a port, and you should have some port options.
Is one of them Adafruit Trinket M0?
That should be it, and it has a number, right?
Yes.
The number doesn't matter, but if you put it into the bootloader mode with the green light, it would change that number.
Okay. Alright.
So basically, you would need to go down on this port list and reselect it, depending on if you were in regular boot mode or bootloader mode.
Okay.
But yeah, something quirky about this list is it only updates every time you click tools. So if you change something plugged in or unplug something, you'll need to click tools again for it to refresh that list.
The old turn it off and on again. All right.
Yes, but just for a toggling menu, which is weird. But anyway, just select the correct port, which you can determine by unplugging and replugging it if it's unclear. But yours is very clear. It says trinket. And now we should be ready to upload. So what we're going to do is there's two buttons at the top left. The left one is the verify button. We don't need that right now. The right one is the upload button. You go ahead and click it. It looks like an arrow pointing to the right.
I click it. Compiling sketch. I didn't see that.
There you go. Yeah, towards the bottom, it'll tell you what's going on, and even a little green bar will show up in the bottom right corner. And then once that bar fills up, we will know if everything went okay, and it will actually upload. Oh, this will overwrite your glove, by the way, so if you don't want that, you should yank it.
Well, it just did. That's fine.
I probably should have said that. But
I have the old files too, so I could just do it earlier. I didn't change anything.
Okay, cool. Well, it looks like it says done uploading.
We are done uploading.
That is fantastic. That means everything's good to go. You have successfully uploaded an exact copy, sort of the original sketch you had, and it was successfully received. So everything was set up correctly.
All right.
Yay! Now we can get started.
Here we go, folks. I was want to see how much it changed. I said I don't even. Oh, it did. Okay, that's all right. I'll change it.
Yes.
Back.
That's okay. Okay, so cool. We have, it looks like my upload worked too. So what we're going to do is go back to the Vortex Gloves GitHub.
Okay.
And in the sort of middle of the page, kind of towards the left, you should see something that says main. And beside that it says 2 branches. Do you see this?
GitHub.com, Vortex. Oh, the drop down that says main.
Yes, the drop down that says main. Beside that, there's a thing that says 2 branches. Go ahead and click on the 2 branches.
Gotcha.
And then you will see a main branch and a refactoring branch.
Yes, sir.
In the list. Either one of the refactoring branches, if there's more than one, you can click on. Excellent. And so this is not uploaded, or I guess this is now uploaded. This is what I'm currently working on. It's not part of the main branch, but it will eventually be merged into the main branch. I'm pretty sure I'm not doing this version control perfectly right, but this keeps everything separate until we're 100% certain it's working.
Gotcha. To answer FWig's question, this is just one hand at a time, but then the file that comes out of one glove can very easily be applied to the other hand, essentially.
Yes, you can replicate an exact copy of the firmware, which will include all changes you've made to your programming.
And that's literally just a drag and drop.
Drag and drop. But no installs, none of this complicated setup stuff.
Only got
this is just for overachievers.
Yes, this is not. There's a very simplified way to like program the glove, like colors and the preset flashing patterns. This is for flashing pattern creation. This is like the development side of shit. So this is like
absolutely,
we're getting the nitty gritty.
Yep, pedal to the metal. This is as much as you can go into the thing and change it yourself.
This is essentially, can you run both branches at once, or rather run both IDES at once?
So IDE is Integrated Development Environment, and that's what the green teal program we downloaded is. It's Arduino's IDE.
Okay.
He's asking if we can have a window with each one open at the same time, and yes, we can. But we're probably just going to close the current main one and just work with the refactoring branch, simply because that's what I'd like to have available at launch, a fully refactored set, and I'll explain why when we start getting into the development of patterns. It really is just streamlining, clarifying, making everything more readable, especially for people who aren't familiar with code.
Code talk.
Yes, code. So when you went to the refactoring branch, it should look exactly the same as the other one.
Yep.
But just go ahead and click code and download the zip. This should have the refactored update.
Gotcha.
Which is great. And we don't have to do any more setup for this. You'll just pull that. You can extract that folder wherever is convenient, and then go into the Vortex Glove refactoring branch, Vortex Glove Obsidian version 1.0, and then double-click the INO file to open up the Arduino with the correct one. And you can close the old window if you like.
Gotcha.
But they're going to have the same name, so that might be confusing.
I'll just have one above and one below. I can refract. The folder that we're dealing with at this moment is the refactoring branch folder, correct?
Exactly.
Okay, so I have it separated that way. That's fine. I'm going to open up that Arduino.
Yes.
Okay.
And then to be certain that you got the right one, you should see towards the top of the page, you should see a bunch of different tabs. The first one saying Vortex Gloves Obsidian version 1.0. Then you should see 2 that say buttons, 2 that say modes, and 2 that say pattern.
Got it.
Okay, good. If you have the patterns ones, it means you're in the right branch, and we are good to go. So, excellent.
Let's go time.
So, originally, like I was saying, it was 2,500 lines of code in one page. But now I've taken about half of that out of there, which was all patterns. Now there's only 1,300 lines of code on this page. And if you go to the patterns, the other 1,300 lines are there. Which is great. Yeah. So, I guess we have 2 choices now. We can start building a basic pattern like ribbon from scratch and just look at that and talk about how that works. Or we can get into the new stuff I've added. Actually, we probably should just build it ourselves first and then get into the easy way second.
Yep.
Does that sound? Okay, cool. So if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the patterns page.
The CPP. .cpp.
Yes, the .cpp, correct. Sorry, didn't clarify.
Going all the way down.
.cpp is short for .c++, for those of you wondering. And .h means header, .header. And they always come in pairs when you're talking about libraries in Arduino. We don't need to get into the complexity of libraries, even though that's what we're working with. You don't need to know. It might as well be the same. So, the last thing on the page is default and then strobe, and it's only a single line of pattern or line of code. But we're not going to work with that right now. We're going to insert our new pattern right above it. So if you click, okay, there should be a closing curly brace above the word default. Closing means one facing to the left. It's opening to the left. Do you follow?
To the left.
Sorry, just line 1289.
That's what, okay, gotcha.
That's how we do this in Code World. Duh. So you're going to go ahead and click the tab key twice. Or actually put an enter in there and then click the tab key twice. So you should be now working on line 1290.
I am on.
We created it. Excellent.
Should I be directly under the curly bracket or should I be on the wall?
A little bit to the left. You should be directly in line with the word default.
Gotcha. We're there.
Okay. So what we're doing now is we're adding a new case. This is a switching case thing. Basically, every single pattern is its own case in this switch case. I don't know, structure, I guess is the word. So we're going to write case, and it should turn green.
Mm-hmm.
And then the number 40, because if you scroll up a little bit, you'll see the last one we had was case 39.
Case no space 40?
Case space 40.
Space 40. Okay.
Yes. And then we're going to put a colon, which is the double dots.
Yep.
And then we're going to have an opening curly bracket, which is a shift of a curly bracket is the one that's like a wavy, like.
And is there a space in between that?
Yeah, you can put a space there. You should put. It's the format I used. I did put a space. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then after you put the opening curly bracket, you can actually click enter, and it will add not only a new line but the closing curly bracket under that.
Gotcha. Okay.
So everything between those two brackets, everything in that sandwich we just made, is our pattern. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
We're also going to write break, B-R-E-A-K, and then semicolon. So this is important for our case switching thing.
Okay.
Our case switching structure. It lets it know that this is the end of this this case.
Okay.
So this is the beginning and end of case 40. And then you can go ahead and put a space above break, a new line above break.
Above it? So press
above
enter
on
the line above it?
Yeah, because what we want is we want to put all of our code before break. Break is the last thing that happens.
And that's okay. Gotcha.
Nice. All right, so now this is all just formatting stuff. Now we're into the actual pattern.
Cool.
So there's a few functions that exist that allow us to basically talk to the LEDs. So the most fundamental pattern we can do is we do something called the LED strip. Yeah, I'm trying to think of how basic to start this. So let's make a really, really basic. We have a strip called LEDs. So type in the word LEDs. It won't change color or anything. This is a object we have elsewhere, and it targets the LEDs in the product, in the gloves. Then you're gonna have a square bracket, open and close, after the LEDs. So it should look like a little square.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. And then the way this works is the number that we put in that bracket, let's say 0. So LEDs, open bracket, 0, close bracket. That means we're targeting the first LED. Everything starts counting from 0 in software. So the first LED is LED 0, the second LED is LED 1, the third LED is LED 2. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So we're going to put LEDs 0, that's talking about the first LED, and then we're going to put period or dot, and we're going to now we're going to call a function. The function is called set HSV.
Is that dot after the 0 within the bracket or outside?
After the bracket, after the closing bracket.
Dot.
Yeah. Set HSV. It's all one word. Set is lowercase. HSV are all uppercase.
Okay.
And then you're going to put an open and closed parentheses.
Okay.
This is the function. The function is called set HSV. And then after the closed parentheses, you're going to put a semicolon. That's basically a period in code.
Okay.
At the end of a line, you want a semicolon. So this wouldn't work the way we wrote it, simply because set HSV expects 3 values in order to run. And those values are hue, saturation, and value, or brightness is more clearer in this case.
Okay.
So all 3 of those can be values from 0 to 255. So if we put the first number, let's just start with 0, 0, 0. That's how you put 3 values. You separate them with comma. So in the parentheses, put 3 zeros separated by commas.
And then the semicolon?
And then the closed parentheses and the semicolon. So your line that we just wrote.
Okay, sorry. I put the semicolon in the parentheses.
Your line that we just wrote should look like the one I copied and pasted into our chat on Discord, if that's a place to reference for you. Okay, so this is the most fundamental.
Oh, comma. Put periods, my bad. But yes, I did have that correct other than that.
Awesome. So this is the most fundamental line in setting LEDs. What this is saying is set the first LED, aka LED 0, to the hue 0, the saturation 0, and the brightness 0. So with all zeros, this will set it to blank. It'll be a blank off LED. Right?
Gotcha.
Makes sense. Now, let's say we don't want it off. If we change the second and third zeros to 255, which are the maximum values, this isn't RGB, this is HSV. So it's not like the first one is red, the second one's green, the third one's blue.
Right.
That is an option, but that's not what we're doing right now. If we go 0, 255, 255, we will be setting it to full saturation and full brightness red. So 0 refers to red, 255 refers to full saturation, so not white, but the most red possible. And the third number, 255, refers to brightness. So what this line says...
would 255 be in that case?
A very reddish pink.
And then
because it loops back to 0. So if you wanted the color orange, it would probably be like 32.
Okay.
If you wanted like if you wanted green, it's the number 85.
Gotcha. Okay. So you have like a bar of colors on a rainbow,
It's a wheel. It's a circle.
Wheel. Right.
It starts at 0 and it goes all the way 255 around, and 255 is like 11:59 p.m. at midnight. It's almost 0 again.
So 0 and 255 are both in that same exact spot. Therefore, they're both. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
And then we have some questions from chat. So with 40, the case 40, is that the 40th flashing pattern, I guess? Okay.
Correct.
So then when you put that into the glove set itself, would this just be an additional flashing pattern on the list that's already on the set?
Yes, and right now the patterns are divided into 4 lists, with a 5th list reserved for additional patterns and currently empty. However, I don't have a system that automatically categorizes them onto a list or adjusts them or just adds them to the end. So we'll kind of have to do that manually. But
I figured. Okay.
But by launch, I might have a system just whenever you add a new case to the list, it sorts it in a very simple way.
Perfect.
Like it just adds it to the new list or something.
Gotcha. Then follow up. Is LED 0 the thumb light?
Correct. It is the thumbnail, the top of the thumb. And then LED 1 is the tip of the thumb. LED 2 is the top of the finger, index finger. LED 3 is the tip of the index finger. And then all the way
4 diodes to play with in this case.
9. Well, 10. We have 10. 2 for each finger.
On a finger, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so this is the simplest thing to write. We're saying set the top of the thumb to red. Full brightness, full saturation.
Right.
That's not really a pattern. That's just turning the light on. Yeah. So what we can actually do to test this, since you have it all set up and everything, click on the tab for the Vortex Obsidian V1, the first tab. At the top of the page, on line 23, you should see total patterns. It should say 40. Change that number to 41.
It's changed to 40.
And yeah, even though we're still working on case 40, there is a case 0. So case 40 is actually the 41st pattern.
Okay, so if we kept it at 40, it would overwrite the last one, or it would just be like negated completely because it wasn't included?
It would be ignored, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
It would never count that far because of but I can change the way that behaves in the code. That's just how it currently is set up. If it doesn't know about more than 40 patterns, it doesn't know.
Alright.
But yeah, so for now, this is what we're going to do. We're just going to make that 41 and then scroll all the way down to the bottom of that page. The very last 8 lines, or 14 lines rather. It should say set defaults. The first line, where they all say import mode. All of these import modes, these are where you would put defaults. All these series of numbers pertain to a mode slot, a pattern number, total number of colors, and then the hue, saturation, and brightness values for each of those colors, up to 8.
Wow.
So if you wanted to make your own default, so whenever you factory restored your chip, they always return to these values.
Oh, this is definitely too much power.
Oh yeah. So you can control your own defaults easily.
Holy shit. Okay.
And a really fun thing now that you have this set up, I don't want to get too off topic. Actually, before we get off topic there.
All right.
So the first line that says import mode, and then it starts with the first value is 0.
Yep.
That's your mode slot 0, or AKA your first mode slot.
Gotcha.
The second number after that, it's currently a 17.
Uh-huh.
Change that to 40. 40. Change that to 40, and that's the pattern number. So now, your first slot will automatically be written with the pattern we're working on right now. The 40th pattern.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So from left to right. Is that what you were saying previously? How it's the LED, the color set, and that's
So if we were just to read,
awesome,
super cool. This was the first communication system I wrote, and I'll show you how it's actually part of a communication system. So so the first number is the mode slot that you want it to be on. That's 0, first slot, and that's why if you look at the first number going all the way down, it's 0 through 13. That's your 14 mode slots. The next number is the pattern, and then the following number is the number of colors that are currently active out of 8. So that should be 3 for both of us.
Okay, gotcha.
And then if we read the following numbers, this is hue, saturation, and brightness, which is 0, 255, 255.
Yep.
That's red. The next one is, the next 3 numbers is 96, 255, 255. That's green. And then the next 3 numbers are 160, 255, 255, which is blue.
Oh,
so this is
so
RGB
3
set.
colors, God.
And it's 3 colors. Now you see, there's several more values before zeros. Those are essentially junk data. All of those values are ignored as if they're zeros because we told it earlier that we're only using 3 colors.
Okay.
So kind of if you were to delete colors, it would just lower the number 3 to a lower number, but it wouldn't actually delete the values it has stored. So it's just kind of a coincidence. They could all be zeros or not, it doesn't matter, but it's only really acknowledging the first 3 sets of 3.
Because earlier in the list it was...
Yeah, because it's sold to.
Yeah, gotcha.
Exactly.
Okay.
So what's really, really cool is while your Vortex Glove is plugged in and not in its recovery mode, do you see in the top right that little magnifying glass icon?
Yeah.
If you highlight it, it says serial monitor.
Yeah.
Go ahead and click that. It should open a window with the name of your port number.
COM6, baby. Yeah.
There you go. So if you were to pick up your Vortex Glove and for a brief moment, like 1 second, hold the programming button, go 1 and release, you will see a bunch of stuff print out in this box.
Hold on.
Sometimes it's tricky to get the timing right.
Yeah. 1 and. Hold on. Nope. Fuck. It just keeps going.
Oh yeah, you're hitting the wrong button.
Oh. Like the actual button?
The actual programming button, not the reset
what
button.
the fuck? Alright.
Yes. Good. Thank you for that was a good clue.
So what? Because right now it's green. Is that
Yeah,
what it's supposed to be?
Once you plug it in,
Yes.
and it should be in its normal mode. If you were to flip the power switch on, the glove would be displaying stuff.
Yes, we're here.
Go ahead and click the programming button as if you were to hold it, but just click it for like 1 second. 1. Did it work? No?
No. Not getting lucky with it.
It should just Yeah, mine's working pretty consistently.
Maybe you have to use the one on the actual unit?
It shouldn't matter if it's an extension button or not.
Let's try it. Let me just unplug it and plug it back in and try again.
Okay. If you unplug it and plug it back in, you'll need to reopen the serial monitor, even if it doesn't close.
Okay.
In fact, that's probably what happened, because you were clicking the reset button. That's the equivalent to unplugging it and plugging it back in. So it was probably working the whole time, but it wasn't displaying because it needed to be reopened.
Damn.
Yeah, it only works if you open the serial monitor, 1 second press, and you're
There
on the
it
main button.
is. We're there.
So yeah, so that is a list. It should look kind of similar to the import modes that we were just looking at. This is what's currently saved on your Vortex Gloveset.
Gotcha.
So there's two things you can do with this. You can either copy and paste all of these into your import modes, like assuming you had reprogrammed your glove set and these are all not default values. You can now take these values and copy them into your the import mode section in the code,
So you can
and paste
set
them there
that to default.
to make them your defaults.
Gotcha.
Alternatively, you can actually copy an individual line, like let's say the first line, copy everything, including those caret brackets, the triangular shaped ones, and then you could paste it into the area above where it says send. Yeah, if you copy the whole line, including the triangle brackets, and you paste it into that mode and click send, it will actually overwrite and save the slot that the line refers to.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's just Jesus Christ.
It's-
And that
yeah,
would
it's a lot.
just inside the parentheses, you would put that entire line with the triangular brackets too.
When for the import mode statement, you remove the triangular brackets, but when you're in the serial monitor, the triangular brackets indicate what it's looking for.
Sure. Gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, you actually do have to remove them or add them depending on where we're talking about. But they match the section that you're in. If you're in the serial monitor, they always have the triangle brackets. If you're out of the serial monitor, they always do not have it.
Gotcha.
But the numbers are always the same.
And can you make edits within the serial monitors?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So you can actually adjust any of these numbers to any of their acceptable value ranges. So 0 to 255 for most of them, for the hue, saturation, and brightnesses. And doing this, you can actually access colors that are not on the color wheel.
What the
You
fuck?
wouldn't, yeah, you wouldn't be able to actually share them. When the person receives them, they would receive the nearest adjacent color that is on the color wheel. But you could access all I think 14 million colors. I don't think there's really 14 million.
Yeah, like how
significant
well
colors.
is that displayed exactly?
Yeah, it's 255 times 255 times 255. Oh, 16.5 million colors.
Yeah. But...
Yeah, I would say about 150 of them are meaningfully different. Maybe
That's still
250.
a lot.
Yeah, which is great, but you can really get really granular with your adjustments here.
Right.
Let's say the purple's not purple enough for you, fix it. Yeah, but yeah, this is a little bit tangential. I've kind of gotten us quite off topic, but this is a cool way of really tweaking things without any code knowledge. You just have to have Arduino installed, and you don't even need to set up the boards or anything. You just have to have Arduino installed, and then click on the port, open the serial monitor, and you can do the serial monitor editing, which is really cool and
If
pretty
I
powerful.
were to make any changes within the serial monitor, would they also be displayed live, or would I have to basically like export it in some way?
You have to copy and paste and then click send. Once you click send, they instantly update onto the slot that it's targeting with the first number.
Gotcha. Well, we're not going to get into that right now. Let's
No,
keep
we don't
going
need to do that.
where we left off.
Let's go back and continue from where we left off. To change the default modes, you will need to have the whole thing set up. Just to modify modes through the serial monitor, you don't need anything set up but Arduino by itself. But yeah, so anyway, the last thing we did in the main part of the sketch is this Vortex Gloveset Obsidian version 1.0, the first tab. This is our sketch. The other ones are libraries. So last thing we did is we updated the total number of patterns so it knows we have more. And we set the first mode slot to pattern 40, which is the 41st pattern. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and click upload, that right-facing arrow towards the top left again.
How?
And this will overwrite your chip again, but now your first slot that you're on will just be a red light on the top of the thumb.
LEDs was not declared in the scope. Did I spell LEDs incorrectly?
LEDs should be all lowercase.
Gotcha.
Let me see your error. I can see it from...
That was it.
Oh, that's correct. Yeah, all lowercase. It is case sensitive in most of code.
Gotcha. Alrighty.
And then it'll just take a moment to compile and upload, and we'll see if we did everything correctly. But it'll give errors like that if we didn't.
For sure.
There are places in the code where you can refer to this information, like how to correctly write the word LEDs, for instance. But they're earlier in the code. You can just take my word for it that they're there. This is just the shortcut.
We have one thumb with a bright red light on it.
Yep, and if you were to click the navigational button, you would go to your next mode, which should work completely fine.
And it does.
But yeah, so our red light thumb is working. So why don't we make this a little more complex, because a thumb turning on red is not very exciting.
I don't know, man.
Relatively not very exciting.
Yeah. Let's do some fun shit.
So let's go back to our code, and we are going to go, for me, it's line 1290 again, is where it says case 40. Yep. I'm going to click enter to add a new line.
On, like, past case 40 or?
Yeah, past case 40, correct. Okay. Sorry. Good clarification. Gotcha. And we are going to do something called a for loop. The goal here is we want to set not just the thumb LED, we want to set all 10 LEDs to red. Just a little bit more complicated, right?
Yep.
So there's two ways we could do this. The first way is we could write LEDs parentheses or brackets 1 dot set HSV and then 0 255 255. We just do that for 10 times. We could write that same line 10 times with 10 different numbers in it. That's tedious. We don't want to do that. And it's also bad practice, but I couldn't tell you what that bad practice is called. It's redundant, essentially. So what we're going to do is we're going to write a for loop that'll do that for us. And that's not what the for stands for, but it's funny, ironically. So we're going to for, and then space, open parentheses. And we are now going to do something called instantiation. Yeah, we're gonna write the word int, int. That is short for integer. And then we're gonna put another space. What we're doing is we're initializing our variable. I don't think instantiation was right. It might not have been. We're initializing a variable. I like to call this variable I. That's pretty much the variable I always use for loops. So so far we have for open parentheses int space I. Is I and we're gonna,
uppercase or lowercase?
Either one, but make it the same every time. So I use lowercase. And then we're gonna say equals 0. So and then we're gonna put a semicolon. We haven't closed our parentheses yet. This is gonna have 3 different parts to it.
Gotcha.
The first part is int I equals 0. Now what this says is it's telling the program that we have a new integer called I, and it's currently equal to 0. Next, we're going to put lowercase I, if that's what you already use, lowercase, less than, or space less than, space I, space less than.
No, space I, space.
Yes, yeah, just for clarity, and then space, and we're going to put we have a variable called num LEDs. We could put the number 9. We could just put the number 9 or 10, because we know there's 10 LEDs. And that's how many times it's going to do the next action. But instead, we're going to put the word num LEDs, all uppercase.
NUM?
NUM, and then underscore LEDS. instead of a space underscore.
Gotcha.
This is it's kind of like a variable. It's been defined earlier in the code to have the number of LEDs. So you don't even need to know how many LEDs. We can just
full amount.
The full amount,
That's
exactly.
Gotcha.
And then we're going to put another semicolon.
Okay.
And then we're going to put I, or space I, plus plus.
Okay.
And then we are going to close the parentheses. No semicolon that time.
Okay.
So the whole line of this for loop should look like this. I just pasted it into our chat.
Oh, I put the number 4.
Oh, the word for. My
word
bad.
4. There we go.
that's a good
FOR
thing to
parentheses INT space I equals 0 semicolon I less than number underscore LEDs. You put those all in caps. Should I keep those all in caps?
Yes, they should all be caps, and for number LEDs because it's a definition. It's part of the standardized way people do things. You don't have to have it all uppercase, but because it's a permanent number, like the number of LEDs we have isn't generally going to be changing throughout the code. It's just kind of be like once it boots up, it has a number of LEDs, and it's always going to have that many. Variables that fall into that category are always uppercase.
Gotcha. Alrighty.
Well,
I got
and then there you
a
go.
similar looking line of code.
So what this line does is it's saying we are going to run everything that comes after this for the number of LEDs times. So if we have 10 LEDs, we're going to run everything after this 10 times.
Gotcha.
More specifically, it says I equals 0 as long as I is less than the total number of LEDs. Add 1 to I and run it again.
And it just keeps down the line.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So after our closed parentheses, we're going to open a curly bracket.
Curly bracket.
And then if you press enter, after that, it will close the curly bracket for you.
Yes.
And we have a new sandwich. This is everything in this sandwich of curly brackets is what's going to happen in the repeatedly in the for loop.
Okay.
So we're going to remove or cut our LED 0.set HSV. We're going to cut that out, and then we're going to paste it into the for loop.
Like like above it, like put it inside of it.
In the sandwich. In the
Okay.
sandwich.
Does that include the semicolon?
Yes, including the semicolon.
Okay. And should that be lined up with 4 above it, or should it be like offset to the right a little bit?
So Arduino has a really cool function. If you hold the control key and click T, it will automatically format everything for you according to where you have your curly brackets.
Oh, I'm a slut for shortcuts. All right, we're good.
So it should line up all the brackets with the 4 and the break. They should all be in line, and then the LEDs should be indented a little bit.
They are indeed.
Okay. So the one thing we want to change here is we want to change. Yeah, I like sandwich. I like calling it a sandwich. So we're going to replace the 0 in the LEDs 0.set HSV.
Yep.
We're going to replace it with our variable I. So now it should say LEDs bracket I dot set HSV 0 255 255.
So now it's going off of that line to play. Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
Yep. So now it's saying basically every time it iterates the loop, I is going to be 1 greater. So the first time it'll be setting LED 0, the second time LED 1, and so on and so forth.
Gotcha.
Makes sense?
Yes, sir.
So let's give it a try. Let's click upload and see if all of our LEDs are red now. Yeah, so this is like the most fundamental of the fundamental. I'm really starting from simple as possible. We're going from like 1 line to 3 lines to 5 lines.
All 5 are solid red.
Yep, all 10. But
10.
yeah, 5 fingers.
Technically, yeah.
10 lights. Wow, your upload is very quick. Mine was still going.
I got a beefcake of a computer.
That's good to know. Maybe I need to upgrade my computer. So this is great. We have gotten to the point where we've set all the LEDs to red. Still not quite a flashing pattern, and still not super impressive, but we're getting somewhere.
We fucking did.
So why don't we add some color? It's a really easy modification. Right. Nice. So let's make I part of our color. So we're going to replace the 0 with the letter I. Now this isn't going to be very interesting. It's just going to set the color to be red and then slightly more orange as it gets to the pinky, because it'll start with 0, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. It'll only get to 10 out of 255.
What am I changing to I?
Oh, I'm sorry. So in the LEDs I.HSV, change the 0 to
0.
I.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah, I was not clear. So now what this would do is it would, for 10 iterations, set each pixel to first red, and then red plus 1, and then red plus 2, then red plus 3, then red plus
different, a slightly higher value.
Yeah.
Due to the gotcha. Okay.
The pinky might be almost orange, but
Sure.
10 out of 255 is not very far along the wheel. So why don't we make it a little more interesting? Let's say instead of just putting the letter I or the number 0, let's make everything in that first comma I times 25. 25 being about 10% of 255.
How did you write times exact? Here, paste the...
The times is a star, an asterisk.
Oh, it's the asterisk.
Yeah, so mine looks like this.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, there is no X. But yeah, like in multiplication.
And
that's a great question.
There's a space in between those, yeah?
Yeah, the spacing is mostly for formatting. It usually doesn't affect the way the code performs.
Gotcha.
It's mostly just for visibility and readability.
Sure.
So yeah, you could have I star 25 as like without spaces, or you could have I space star space 25.
I like your method. I like to read.
Yeah. Yeah, and then when you click Control T to auto format, it'll usually introduce those spaces if you didn't.
Gotcha.
So yeah, so what this says...
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, oh no, continue.
I was just saying, for anybody that's watching me struggle with typing, I have a keyboard right now that it doesn't have it doesn't display what the key is because it's a cute ass fucking keycap set. So I'm just guessing.
That's funny. Yeah, I can translate for you. It is the 8 key with the shift.
That doesn't help, but it's fine.
Yeah, Chameleon was listening to our comment earlier about writing each line LED 1, LED 2, LED 3, right. And he said that the term is cyclic redundancy, and so either we're eliminating cyclic redundancy.
Perfect.
And he also has a video that I want to watch, which is great. Thanks, Chameleon. I would love to see it. So now that we've changed the first term, which is the hue, in this .set HSV function, now that we've changed that to I times 25, what this will do is every single LED will be 25 more color than the previous one.
Okay, so it's just setting that interval.
Yep, it's an interval, exactly. So if we click upload now, we should get all 10 lights lit with something of a rainbow.
Pardon me.
Yeah, the reason I picked the number 25 is because the range of color is 0 through 255, and since we have 10 LEDs, 255 divided by 10 is 25.5, so I picked 25.
Gotcha. Ooh, an error occurred while uploading the sketch.
What was the error?
No device found on COM6.
Oh, it's go to your tools and port and make sure that the port is still visible.
Yeah.
Are you in reset mode or anything? No, it's still visible.
Let me just unplug this boy and plug it back in. Hold on.
Yeah, sometimes the port is not available. Usually replugging it will fix it. Sometimes clicking the reset button on the board so that it turns off and back on again, which is equivalent to unplugging and replugging it. Sometimes that'll work.
And we're good.
Okay, cool. Upload it and hopefully you get a nice rainbow. across all the fingers.
Moment of truth. Bam! We got a cute pastel effect going on here.
Pastel?
Adorable. I know it's sorry with the screen.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Lights
but
are so
that's
bright.
that's just the camera, not the actual lights, right?
Yeah, I should set up my gloving cam so I can at least show it, but I'm gonna chew through battery by doing that. But for the sake of the stream, I will do it.
Yeah, for everyone watching, I can flip my lights low so we can see what mine looks like as well.
But yes,
oh, no, they're washed out as fuck. There we go. We have rainbow on my lights.
That is what mine looks like, yes.
When you look very closely at the individual fingers, there's actually red on the top and then an orange on the tip. Even though they look like one color at the moment, it's because they're adjacent colors and they're physically
so they're
adjacent.
all blending like that.
Yes, every pixel is slightly more.
Yep. Goddamn, dude.
Isn't it fun? This is just traditional playing and programming with LEDs.
Well, that's the thing. Like, mentally, you're thinking, like, oh, it's, one value for one light. And then you're like, oh, yeah, there's 4 on every fucking finger.
Yeah.
The possibilities.
Endless. And that's why people who take the time to learn this will be deeply rewarded through their efforts, because they'll be able to generate new things that were not possible before, but certainly could be interesting.
As I'm learning everything through here, my mind is just fucking flowing with ideas.
Right? It's
excited
great
to know the basics.
So this is the basics, and this isn't really taking into account our color set, and it is taking into account our pattern, but our pattern kind of overrides its own color set, which is this rainbow.
Gotcha.
So I guess the next best step would be to convert this pattern into a pattern that does take our color set into account instead of its own pre-loaded color set, which is totally an option for people who just want to make a pattern that has a built-in color set. Some people will be not into that, but other people will be like, great, I have a permanent rainbow. That's exactly what I wanted. I never want to change the colors for any reason. It's the rainbow mode. But no, why don't we make it a little more interesting? We were going to take into account our original color set, which, if we recall from when we were looking at that, was a 3-color set with RGB. So let's see. The first thing we will need to do is we're gonna call a new function, a different function that I have. So if you go into the for loop sandwich, and you can put a space above the LED's I.HSV line. So my line is 292. I believe we're still in sync. Add a new line 292.
Yep.
There we go. And we are going to call a function called getColor, which is one word, lowercase get, and uppercase C, lowercase for the rest. So GET, lowercase, uppercase C, lowercase OLOR.
Okay.
This is called camel case, where you only capitalize words that are not the first word, and this is a pretty traditional coding paradigm or coding format.
Was that supposed to change color at all, or no?
It won't change color. It's going to look into our color set, and it's going to find the color we ask for.
Gotcha. Oh, I just meant like the word itself, because get turned orange before I started.
Oh no, yeah, that doesn't change. That doesn't change color. You're right. No, get is a command, and get color is a function. I think get is probably its own function, but it's independent. There's some things that are built into Arduino, and it'll color them. And the things that I added are pretty much not colored. Although I could add a document which colorizes them. I just don't know the correct times at which it is appropriate to colorize something. Or maybe you make it up. I don't know. I'd have to do research.
To answer F-Wig's question of how do we reference the colors in the color set, I feel like there's a few different ways to do that. now given this knowledge?
Yes, there are a few different ways to do that. What we're doing here is we're calling get color, and then we're actually going to open and close a parentheses, and then put semicolon at the end. Now, this function expects a number, an integer, and for now you can put get color 0 in the parentheses, yeah, basically what this is doing is it's going to your color set and getting the first color, because 0 is always the first one.
Right.
That will always, every time you call get color 0, it'll always get color 0. And we're going to use another new line, or new function on the next line, added line for 293 or 1293, and then we're going to put set LED with only the L capitalized, and we are going to put I in the parentheses there. So if we were to go and look at these functions, what get color is doing is it's looking up the color number that we ask for, and then in the background it's saving the values, the hue, saturation, and brightness of that color. And then when we call set LED, it is setting the LED we give it to the most recently saved colors.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So we should have 2 lines that look like this. I don't know if the formatting is right. Yeah, the formatting's not right, but it would be get color 0 and then set LED I.
But they're on the same line.
On two separate lines. Oh, they're parallel. They're
yeah, that's
parallel.
fine. You got it.
Yeah. But yeah, so basically the set LED function does what that line, the LEDs I dot set HSV, it does the same thing as that. So we can just delete that line. We no longer need to know how to specifically set a line. We're actually just going to get the color in our color set and then set that automatically. So everything,
so those
all the rest,
2 lines, get color 0 and set LED to I, in conjunction with having the for integer I line, essentially negates the bottom line LEDs that I set HSV.
Yes, it makes it redundant.
Wow.
So we're getting into the simpler stuff a little bit. We can actually go and look at the functions, and you can see that they are the same. Like it's just elsewhere. It's just we're just taking that.
It's the long form of it.
Yeah, that's the long form, and now we have the short form.
Gotcha. With that line that I'm deleting, am I also deleting the semicolon along with it?
Yes, delete the line with the semicolon.
Gotcha.
For the line where there's set LED, make sure you add a semicolon to that.
LED semicolon, bam.
Okay, so what this new pattern is going to do is it's going to go for all the LEDs we have. It's going to get the first color in the color set and set the LEDs to that color. So let's go ahead and upload that. We should be back to a solid red hand.
Let's check it out.
What's really cool is when we get to the end of this is all going to be just one line with 3 variables that you get to give it, and it'll make all the patterns you want.
That's well, I very much appreciate that. I'm learning like the long form of it, chopping it down, and then like, oh, these are the things that you could change in it. Everything is different now. So that's very much appreciated.
Totally. I love teaching this all, but I know there's people who are going to have varying degrees of intensity with which they want to tackle this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I wanted to kind of go over all the levels because I'm glad you're interested, because that I know there's other people who are too.
Definitely. With that, I do have all 5 fingers. As
all 5 fingers are red.
Didn't mean to cut you off there.
No worries. So why don't we do something cool? So after the for loop, we're going to add a new line between 1294 and 1295. And on this loop, we're going to call next color, which is all lowercase except for the C.
Should that be in line with the 4?
It should be in line. It should be in line with the 4 and the bracket and the break.
Can you repeat that? So I just I asked
Yes.
that question. I forgot.
It's in line with the 4. Correct.
Okay. And
It's
then
also
what's
in line with break.
the command itself.
Is next color 0 in parentheses.
And is the C capital on that?
The C is capital. It's camel case. Correct.
In parentheses 0.
Yes.
You got it.
So what this is doing is there is a hidden variable that tracks what the last color we left off on was. And so what this is going to do is it's going to add 1 to that variable. And if that variable goes past the final color, it'll reset it back to the first color. Really convenient. We're also going to, on the line that says get color 0, we're going to change that to the hidden variable that's tracking what color we're on. So delete the 0 on get color 0, and we're going to add mode dot current color. Current color is camel case.
All of it is current color, all capital.
No, it's all lowercase with it's camel case. Yeah, with the uppercase C. So now the line should say get color, and then in the parentheses it should say mode dot current color.
The C.
The mode. Yeah, with the C in color capital. Correct. So the mode that we're calling on there, where it says mode dot, the mode is like a structure. It's an object that contains all the data for a color set. Okay. So we're asking it when you're running a pattern, it knows what mode you're on. So it's saying, look at the current mode, look at what the variable that tracks the colors, where it's at. It'll start on 0, and then it'll increment every time you call next color. And so if we look at the next color 0 line, what that's doing is it's adding 1 to current color, that variable inside of mode that we just added, and then it's going to cycle back to 0. So once it gets to the final color, it loops back to color 0, which is the first color. If we put next color 1, after it gets to the final color, it'll loop back to color 1. So the reason I have it set up like that is for things like a tracer, where the first color is ignored, or it's kind of doing its own thing, and you only want colors 2 through 8, or 2 through 7. Does that make sense?
Sure.
It's a little complex, but for now, we're most of the time, you're always going to have it next color 0, and then it'll go through the whole color set every time.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, you're just telling it where it starts in the cycle, and that's 0. So anyway, now if we were to upload the code, it should turn all the lights to the current color, which will start on red, then increment to the next color, then turn then it'll run the loop again. So this thing runs infinitely. It's not just running one time. It's doing case 40 top to bottom, and then once it gets to the bottom, it goes back to the top. Does that make sense?
Expected before Y token. They're saying like closing bracket.
There should always be a closing bracket for every open bracket. So let's see.
With this one being on the line underneath it. So.
You need a semicolon after next color.
Got it. Yep, I saw it.
Also, your next color should be outside of the for loop, not inside of the for loop. So you should cut it from the line it's currently on and put it in the space between breaks and the other one, or you could keep it and it'll just
on line 1296. You mean?
Yes, 1295 or 1296, depending on how your formatting ended up so far.
Okay.
Yeah, if you next color on every LED, it'll create some chaotic result, which is a pattern, but less clear for understanding.
So for those who are interested, this is what happened when I had next color in the bracket rather as opposed to outside the bracket. It just created this. I don't know.
Chaos.
Cool. Anyway, let's try to re-upload that and see what happens.
We're going to have something actually kind of similar even after this upload. because what's happening here is the loop is running, so it'll run over and over and over again, and every time it runs one time, it will get the next color. So let me see what happens on mine. It should just be, yes, it should be like exactly like that.
Yep.
So all the lights will be the same color, but it will be rapidly switching to the next color. So you'll see RGB, RGB, RGB. It'll look like a solid white when it's idle.
Right.
Because that's RGB. But yeah, if you move it quickly enough, you can see the component RGB LEDs inside, or the colors that are separating, rather, not component LEDs, but the component colors. So obviously, basically we have a ribbon. This is a ribbon.
We did it.
We did ribbon. Congrats. Yay. The problem is it's not quite a ribbon. It's really, really fast.
Yeah, it's a very fast strobe.
Very fast color timing for our ribbon. So what we'd want to do probably is add a timer that makes it so that it changes colors much less frequently.
Right.
So we're basically going to put the next color line inside a timer. But we're going to do one more thing, because there's also one more shortcut that we can do to optimize this pattern that makes it the same though. We're going to take the get color or the get color line, line 1292 for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cut that out of the for loop, and we're going to put it before the for loop. So parallel with it, but one line above it. Because it doesn't matter if we get the LED, if we get the color once, we don't need to get it 10 times, because it's going to be the same color every time. And then instead of calling set LED, however many times we want to call it, I have another function called set LEDs, plural, capital L and then lowercase eds. And this one takes 2 arguments. The first, so we're going to use set LEDs 0 above the for loop, 0, 9.
So take it out of the bottom, put it on top.
Yeah, take it out of the for loop, because we're going to make it, instead of set LED singular, we're going to make it set LEDs plural.
Okay.
And this is literally identical to the setting the LED 9 times. We're going to call a function which set the LEDs the number of times you tell it to.
Okay.
So instead of that function, you can delete that whole for loop and everything inside of it. And we should now have basically 3 lines. The first one, get color mode.currentColor. Then set LEDs, and the appropriate range would be to say set LEDs parentheses 0, 9 close parentheses.
Okay. 0. With a semicolon after that one?
With a semicolon after.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also have a closing curly bracket you have to delete between set LEDs and next color.
Yep.
Delete that, yeah. And then it should just be directly under that, next color 0. So this will give us the same exact thing. What it's doing is it's getting the current color, then setting LEDs 0 through 9, which are all the LEDs. Or you could put 0, num LEDs, that all uppercase one that we were talking about.
And that would just be the same thing?
In this case, it's the same thing, but it's technically better to put num LEDs, because then if later on you want to change the number of LEDs, you don't have to go to every single pattern and adjust the 9 to 11 or 9 to 20. You can just go to where num LEDs has a value and change that one's value.
Gotcha.
It's num underscore LEDs, exactly.
Gotcha.
And then next color 0. So this will still be that really fast rainbow that we had, the really fast red, green, blue, red, green, blue, red, green, blue, which we don't quite want. So instead, we're gonna add that timer now. Okay. So let's add a new line between set LEDs and next color. And we're gonna add an if statement. If statements are really, really powerful, really, really useful. They check if a certain condition is true or false, and then they execute the code in their sandwich if it's true, or yeah, exactly, and they don't execute the code if it's not true.
Gotcha.
Really simple. So we're gonna put if space, and then it should turn green. We will put open parentheses. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna create a timer. This isn't gonna make a whole lot of sense at first, but as you play with timers, they make more and more sense. So you're just gonna have to trust me a little bit. Yeah. So first we're gonna put the word main clock with camel case, MAINCLOCK. That is the a variable that tracks how much time since the glove set turned on.
Okay.
We're gonna go space minus space, and then we're gonna use a variable called prev time, PREVTIME, which is previous time.
Is the T capital for that one too?
Yes,
Gotcha.
camel case. Exactly. And so what this is saying, if main clock minus previous time. So what that's saying is how much time has passed. Because the difference between the previous time we looked at and the current time is the amount of time that's passed, right? So if that is greater than, which is the caret pointing to the left, if that is greater than, now we're going to give it a time. Let's say 25. So, and then we close the parenthesis. So what this line says is if main clock minus prev time is greater than 25, what this is saying is if more than 25 milliseconds has passed. Make sense?
Yes.
Then we're going to put an open curly brace, and then we're going to go enter to make a sandwich. And we are going to, so now this is what happens. So if more than 25 milliseconds has passed, then do all of this. And all of this is going to be, basically we're just going to move next color 0 into here. So we're going to cut next color 0 from its current space and put it into this if statement loop.
Okay.
So if 25 milliseconds has passed, call the next color. There's one other thing we need to do to finish this off. We're going to put another space inside that if loop, or if statement, I suppose is more correct. And we're going to put prev time with camel case equals main clock. So what that does is it resets the loop and pretty much primes it to be able to trigger again. Because first it checks to see if 25 milliseconds has passed, and if 25 milliseconds has passed, get the next, or tell the color to increment by 1, and then reset the timer that we're checking so that it's now that main clock and previous time are now equal again, which means no time has passed when they're the same. And then time continues to pass, and the gap becomes greater and greater until it's greater than 25, and then it resets. So does that make sense?
Yeah. It's just fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's how a timer works in code. There's another way to do a timer, sort of. It's called delay. You just type in delay parentheses and you put in the amount of time you want it to delay. The problem is when the code is delaying, when the thing is delaying, the processor is busy delaying. It can't do anything else. So if you press a button, if you I don't know, send data, anything that happens when it's delaying, it ignores. So you don't want that. So instead we do this clock. So it checks the clock constantly, and if other things happen, that's okay. Even if it's not doing anything, it can see those other things happening, which is very important. Alright, so what we have here is get color, get the current color, set all the LEDs, and then if 25 milliseconds has passed, get the next color. That is all the rules to create, or cue the next color. That is all the rules to create a ribbon. So let's upload it and see how it looks. and this ribbon will have a 25 millisecond duration on each color. Yeah, you got to put a semicolon after main clock. Previous time equals main clock.
And now, the glove set.
And now we should have an RGB ribbon. I don't know if this is the appropriate ribbon timing, but it is.
Seems about right.
Yeah, there you go. So we have just programmed ribbon from scratch.
Woo! We did
it! Yay!
So for me and my thing, how can we add more of a gap to this? Turn it more into a strobe.
How do we turn it to a strobe? That's a great next step. So let's go back to our pattern, and we are now going to get into the world of booleans. And that's a fun, crazy sounding word, but a boolean is just a true or false. It is the most fundamental, simple version of a variable. It's just a 1 or a 0, on or off. It's literally a switch. You can flip it on, flip it off. It's a single bit. So we're going to use a boolean to determine whether our lights are on or off, like an actual light switch. So I already have like all these other variables that we have been using, like main clock, previous time, current color, all of those. You normally have to set them up like we did when we were making the loop, int I equals 0. That's how you create a variable. You initialize it. All these variables that we've been using, I've initialized earlier in the code. They're just kind of common variables that everyone can share and use.
Cool.
There's another way to do it. You can initialize them here. If we were to put like above all of these lines, above get color, we put like int, or let's say bool, bool. That's a bool is short for boolean. A bool on equals false. That's one way we could put it. But the reason we don't do that is because every single time it runs the loop, the bool will always be set to false. So you can never flip the light switch on because it just starts off false. But I will be converting the modes to have static variables. If we say instead of bool on equals false, we say static bool on equals false, then it doesn't reset the variable every time. It creates it one time and then saves its position. I'm going to be putting all the patterns having static variables so that you can see all the variables relevant rather than these magic variables that came out of nowhere.
Gotcha.
But for now, we're going to use a magic one.
Whee!
Yeah, so let's say we just want... Well, let's introduce that variable. Okay. Let's keep it with this 25 millisecond timer. So above the line next color 0, we're going to insert a new line. And the bool, for simplicity's sake, is called on. Just the word on. And we're going to say on equals, and then exclamation point on, and then semicolon. So, yeah, now I'll translate that for you. On equals exclamation point on, and exclamation point is the word not.
Okay.
So what we're saying here is on equals not on.
Great.
Yeah, I know it sounds a little confusing, but it's actually pretty simple. So what this does is it flips the value. If on is true, on equals not true. If on is false, on equals not false. So if on is true, it equals false. If on is false, it equals true.
Gotcha.
Okay. It just flips it from true to false. It's literally a statement that turns the switch to the opposite position if it was a light switch.
Sure.
Okay, so every 25 milliseconds, we're going to flip the switch on or off. Simple enough.
Yep.
So now, let's go to the line between. Let's add a new line between get color and set LEDs.
New line. Set LEDs. Bang.
And we're going to say if parentheses on what that means is if on equals true, which we can also write as if on equals true, but we're just going to put if on because that's a quicker way of writing it.
Sure.
Open a curly bracket, and then click enter to get the closing curly bracket.
Okay.
We're going to take the set LEDs line, cut that out, and we're going to put it in that if statement where we just created space.
Okay.
So now it will only set the LEDs if on is true. We're going to put another, after the closing bracket, we're going to put another space between that and the next if statement. And it's going to say if not on. So exclamation point on.
Where's that one going? Is that going above
It's
if
going-
main clock?
Yes, right above
Okay.
if main clock.
So if
And
in parentheses not on,
correct.
and is not on one word or spaced out.
It's one word.
Okay.
But not is not a word, but the exclamation point.
Oh, right. Not
Yes.
on.
If exclamation on, which means if not on.
Right.
Or another way of writing this is if on equals false. But that we're saying the same thing. If it's not on or if an on equals false, those are the same. Put an
Alright.
opening curly bracket and then
I'm
an
gonna keep it.
enter.
I'm gonna keep it if on equals false.
Okay.
Open
Well, there's something you need to know. There's something you need to know about that.
Okay.
So if you are asking a question, if you write anywhere on equals false, it will then set the value of on to be false. Because that's what it thinks you're asking for. So if you're asking a question, does on equal false? What you want to say is on equals false. Yeah. If you put two equal sign, it's for a question.
Oh my
Yeah,
god. Okay, so I have if not on now.
Yes. It looks like you have if not not.
Oh, not on. Nah, I'm dyslexic.
That's okay. And then close the parentheses and start a curly bracket and hit enter for the sandwich.
Curly bracket.
And then, so in this statement, we
So
are...
really quick. When I did an open curly bracket, it didn't add one. It just went to the one that was already on line 1302.
Yes, so just hit enter and it'll create another one.
Ah, okay.
And uh-oh, I'm getting Facebook. No, I'm not going to talk to you. Some random person on the internet who I think is a very kind person, but I've never talked to him before, and I don't do that usually. I will talk to people in chats, but not video chats, and I'm also busy.
Fair enough. All right.
Yeah, sorry about that distraction.
You're fine.
Yeah, so so in this curly brackets, we're going to put a command to turn the lights off, which I have a shortcut called clear light with a capital L.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, or no, it might actually be clear all. Yeah, it's clear all with a capital A.
Okay.
Yes, and then you will put a parentheses and then a closing parentheses and then a semicolon. This one doesn't take in any data, but it still needs the parentheses as if it was going to.
Okay.
So clear all, open parentheses, close parentheses, semicolon.
Yep.
So now let's read what we have.
Okay.
This says, get the current color. If on is true, set all the LEDs. If on is false, turn all the LEDs off. And then every 25 milliseconds, flip on from true to false. And then get the next color.
Okay.
So, there's one thing we want to add that it would be a bug otherwise. So what this is going to do is it's going to call next color when the lights are on, and then next color again when the lights are off, even though they were off and it didn't show any colors. So really, we only want to call next color if the lights are on. Or actually, if the lights are off. We only want to call the next color once, when it's either on or off. We don't want to call it every time it's on and off. Here, why don't we just upload it as is, and you'll see. You'll see the bug.
Okay.
I think that's the clearest way to do this.
That's probably right. Okay. Fucking. I
Did we miss semicolon?
I need a semicolon, but where?
Or did we get a bracket in the wrong place? Let me see your code really quick.
Here, I'll paste everything I have here. It's not going to be formatted correctly, but if it's highlighting the if on.
Oh yeah, that's a weird character after on. You don't have a closing parenthesis.
I just need the closing bracket, not the curly bracket.
Then the curly bracket.
Then the curly bracket.
So basically, the if needs a parentheses set, so it can see what the if statement is. Like, what are we checking to see if it's true? Right. And then the curly brackets are what it does once if it is true.
My brain is not working anymore. Yeah, I just for some reason my brain was like, yeah, you don't need to close off that parentheses. What are you talking about?
This is all syntax, and syntax is probably the hardest part about code because once you can read syntax and write syntax, then it's mostly just translating your ideas into simple math.
Gotcha. So what we have here,
like it's right. It looks like a hyperstroke.
Yes, it does.
But it's doing something wrong that we would only know if we had an even number of colors. So go ahead and program a fourth color, or delete a color, and see what happens.
Let's go ahead. Get into the color. I will get rid of the blue. It only shows one color.
Yes, because first, if on is true, when on is true, it shows red, and then it goes to then the timer clears and it gets the next color, which is green in your case. And then when it's off, it clears all the lights, and then it gets the next color, which is red again.
Gotcha.
So it's actually it's calling next color twice, essentially. Once when it's on and once when it's off. But it should only call the next color every time it's on.
Gotcha. So it basically cancels itself out.
Yeah, with an even number of colors.
And not showing the green.
Yeah, it's showing the green, but it's basically only showing the green when the lights are off.
Right.
Which is not what we want. So in order to fix this, we're going to go to the line where it says next color 0, and we're going to put if parentheses on or not on. It doesn't matter in this case.
Is that a new line or is that next to it?
To the left of it. We're going to add in front of it. If on. And then since all we're doing is calling the next color, this is kind of a shortcut you can do. Instead of opening and closing a curly bracket, if what you're calling is a single line of code, like this, calling next color, then you don't have to put brackets at all. It'll just consider the very first thing after the on, or if on, the whole. Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
They'll consider the whole statement. So now we have a line that says if on, call next color. So basically that'll prevent us from calling next color an additional time when the lights are off. So this is now truly, with that little fix, this is truly a hyperstrobe. But what if we want a different strobe?
Let's just make sure that we have this real quick.
Yeah, let me double check that your thing looks good.
Damn. Now we got a true RGB hyperstrobe.
Yes, you do.
Perfect.
But that's probably not what people want.
Nope.
People probably want something, anything else. Literally anything, except for the ribbon we had earlier. So why don't we go here and let's make this a little more complex. Most strobes, it turns out, besides hyperstrobe, have a different amount of on time and off time. Yeah, so they're on for some amount and then off for a different amount. So instead of writing like a complex 2 timers, 1 timer for when it's on, 1 timer for when it's off, we can actually use 1 timer for both time. And here's how we're going to do it. So in the timer area where it says main clock minus previous time is greater than 25, we're going to delete the 25 and we're going to insert another variable that I have declared elsewhere called duration. D-U-R-A-E-I-O-N. So just replace the 25 with the word duration, all lowercase.
Okay.
Now, duration is just a variable that it's going to be checking it. So instead of checking to see if 25 milliseconds has passed, it's going to check to see if duration has passed. But duration isn't always going to be the same amount of time. That's the trick.
Right.
Sometimes it'll be one time, and sometimes it'll be another time. So add an additional line after set LEDs, 0, number LEDs. We're going to add another line in that on statement, if on. So it's going to be duration equals, let's say 5. So now, if on is true, the duration that it's checking against will be 5 milliseconds.
Gotcha.
Exactly. And then let's go to the if not on, and add a new line after clear all, and we're going to say duration equals 8 milliseconds. So now what it says, if it's on, check for 5 milliseconds. If it's not on, check for 8 milliseconds.
Wow. Okay.
And this is the timing of a strobe, a traditional strobe. 5 on, 8 off.
And let's see it in real time.
Let's send it.
We have a issue on the coding side because I didn't put a fucking semicolon.
Look at you catching your own errors.
Go, man!
Yep.
Oh man! Oh, there's another one that I didn't do. Oh my god!
That's the most common. That's the most common error, forgetting the semicolon.
Boom.
But it's cool because you are learning syntax well enough to catch your own mistakes.
God
In
damn!
one session. Good job.
Crazy. And look at that. We got ourselves a nice old strobe.
There we go.
Holy shit,
And
folks.
we have written strobe from
We
scratch.
did it!
It's fantastic. And now everyone who stuck through to the end, they're going to get a real special treat because none of this is necessary anymore.
Great!
This is all for everyone who wants the brownie points and the extreme level of control.
Thanks,
So yeah,
Shane.
no problem. I'm glad you're interested and want to learn this. That's great. So what we can do is you could theoretically put any time for the on duration and any time for the off duration, and you will have a new pattern essentially.
Right.
Everything from DOPS, Blinky, one of those two. DOPS, Hyperstrobe, Ultra DOPS, Ghost DOPS, Ribbon.
All the goodies.
Any of those patterns can all be made from the stuff we've already done, just by changing the timings. So what I went ahead and did was I made a function that does all of this for you. And I'm going to do the same thing for every single pattern.
Okay.
So we will never need to do any of this again. So above get color, add a new line. Get color, current color. We're gonna add a new line, and we're gonna write the word basic pattern, one word, with a capital P.
Okay.
And then an open and closing parentheses.
Okay.
Now, if you want to delete all of our hard work, we can delete it all. Otherwise, we can hide it. We can tell it to be ignored, so you can like save it for reference for longevity. Up to you.
I'm just gonna keep that. I'll delete it after, but just to separate it all.
So highlight all the lines from I think 1305 to 1292, which would be get color to the closing bracket on my screen.
Get color to the closing bracket. Sorry, I'm on the wrong line. Get color all the way to before it says break, right?
Yeah, to the line before break.
Gotcha.
And then once you've highlighted all of that, you're going to hold Control and click backslash, which is near your Shift key, usually. And then
backspace?
you'll see
backslash.
Backslash.
Got it. Okay. I heard backspace. Brain. I'm tired. Got it. Okay.
and then you should see a bunch of double slashes to the left of everything. That's known as a comment. If you do those double slashes, everything after it on that line will be ignored. So you should also either control backslash or type backslash twice in front of the all of our hard work. That's literally a comment. No, that's exactly what it's for. That's a comment, and you've now commented out your comment. Oh, you guys gotta go before. Got it. Yeah, before the text that you'd like to make it into a comment. Okay. So basically, this new function that we're calling, called basic pattern, it takes up to 3 variables, and the first one is the on duration, the second one is the off duration, and the third one is the gap duration. So for instance, if you don't include a variable, it'll just default to 0. So if we just put in the parentheses the number 25, and then we click upload, this will be a ribbon because it'll be an on duration of 25, no off duration, no gap duration. So you can make a ribbon of any size just by putting basic pattern and then the number which pertains to the size of the ribbon you'd like. Let's see here. I got some coding shit. And don't forget the semicolon after the basic pattern. Or after the parentheses. That's what it was. Yes. I was all the way up there. Okay. So we'll be back to our original ribbon pattern, or we can make a tiny ribbon by changing 25 for another value. Bam. Oh yeah, that is okay. I was thinking it was a strobe, but yeah, we're back to ribbon on just basic pattern 25. Sure. So let's say we want a strobe again. Let's go in the basic pattern. It would be basic pattern 5, 8, and then we'll just click upload. That should be a strobe. Then the third variable you said was what exactly? Gap time. Gap time. It's gotcha. Gap time. So you can create like clusters of lights with a large gap after them, and we'll create another pattern, or we'll create that as an example in a moment. I have an idea that we can probably end the stream with, because sure. I feel like we definitely have space to continue another stream and do more of like the hybrid sequence patterns and get into that nitty gritty. Yes. But for now, we'll just keep it super simple. However, yeah, let's just experiment with this new function, because this is the coolest part, because this is something anyone can do. You create a new case, you put basic pattern, and then put the numbers you want. Love it. So why don't we try another one with a third variable? So let's do like 1, 3, 50. 3, 50. Upload. And there we go. Upload. That'll be 1 millisecond on time, 3 milliseconds off time, so a bunch of little dots really close together, and then a 50 millisecond gap after the whole color set. Ooh. So you should have some... So what happened to the red? Oh. It's gone. Perhaps there's a bug. Uh-oh. I wonder if I also have lost my red. Oh, wait. It might just be my... Oh, no, wait. It's not my set. I didn't get rid of it. Yeah, my set is working correctly. That is interesting. I have a red, green, blue. I wonder how you lost your red. Do you have any of the line? Oh, you have red, green, blue programmed as well. Yeah. Let me see your code. Perhaps there is a bug or a mistake. Small mistake. Case 40, basic pattern 1, 3, 50. And then this should all be negated. That's interesting. Click Control T to yeah, that might that might change something. Hold on. It shouldn't change anything. It'll just rearrange things. Gotcha. Based on how you currently have it. Yeah, this should... Oh, you commented out break. That's what you did. Oh, the last break? Yes, we still need the break.
Whoopsies.
That is a common thing that I've done to myself several times. And what happens if you don't comment out break, no matter what you've done already, it'll continue on to the next pattern, in this case default, and it will play that one. So it'll basically just overwrite all of your mode. And so even it was actually calling next color 2 times. And so it was never showing red.
Interesting.
So it should work now.
Whoa. Yeah, this is like a kind of like a loose crush mode almost. That's dope.
Yes, like a loose crush. And that's because we put 3 for the second variable. If we made it like 150, it would be basically essentially you can create crush using this basic pattern. And you can also create crazy strobes. You can eliminate the gaps. So if we put 0 as the second variable, 1050, you would have gapless crush.
Let's see what the fuck that looks like. 1050, you said?
Yes.
1050. Changing it up. Uploading. Let's see what we get. What up, Youngblood? I'm seeing all that shit. Shut up, Youngblood.
1,000 gap. Yeah, a 1,000 gap would be a 1 millisecond gap.
A literal 5 minutes for it to change.
Or I mean, not 1 millisecond, a 1 second. Sorry, a 1 whole second gap. 1,000 milliseconds.
Interesting.
Yep.
So this is like a much looser. Or at least like the coupling is tighter at least.
The coupling's very tight on this. There is no space between the lights, between the colors.
Cool.
But yeah, so I'm going to go through every single pattern. A lot of the patterns, like the classic ones we talked about, strobe, hyperstrobe, dots, crush, ribbon, all of those are one Segundi mode. Oh, that's funny. I remember now. Yeah, all of those patterns can work off the basic pattern function with just whatever timings you want in there for the on time, the off time, and the gap time.
Gotcha.
However, let's say a tracer or a dash stop, those are fundamentally different because they have a single color extracted and doing something separate, and then the rest of the colors doing the rest of the things.
Gotcha.
So those will have their own separate functions. There'll be a function such as, I've done several of them already. Let's see.
Yo, JJ, did you know that PM Saganda is competing in G3?
Oh man, I hear he's good. I hear he's like real good.
That tech.
Yeah, tech master. Yeah, so there's the basic pattern function. There'll be a dash stop function, which will have the dot duration, the off duration between the dots, and then the dash duration, which is the stripe. And you can change all 3 of those. And there's
with those like all-encompassing functions, you can apply those to any of the diodes on the fingers, correct? Like as we get more and more complicated.
Yeah, right now all the functions variables are controlling timing. Everything is timing.
Sure.
So, for instance, the mode I'm working on right now is converting into this function is tip top, which is hyperstrobe and a strobe, but hyperstrobe on the tips and strobe on the tops.
Gotcha.
So that pattern has 4 timings. It has the on duration, the off duration, and then the second on duration and off duration. One for the strobing and one for the hyperstrobing.
Yeah, we'll get to that. All right.
Yeah, that's advanced.
Goddamn.
But that's all timings. Part of this refactoring that I'm doing will ultimately pave the way for a really cool additional potential future feature with variable hybrid patterns, which is kind of what everyone wants. They're like, I want to make a hybrid pattern with my favorite modes, and I want it to do whatever. So I'll create kind of a layout where they can select from a menu where they can select a variety of layouts, either tops and tips, pinky, thumb, index, ring, and middle, or alternating tops and tips, or isolated thumb, rest of them on fingers.
God.
We can come up with dozens of layouts.
Yeah.
And probably with a maximum of or maybe 5-finger independence, where you have 5 separate patterns. I'll probably cap it at 5, And so you pick the layout you want. You'll pick 5 patterns, one for each section of the layout, up to 5 patterns, depending on how many you need. And then your one color set, most likely, will be distributed across those 5 patterns for simplicity.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's a future thing, but I'm laying the groundwork for that, so that could be an option in the future.
That's nuts. Okay.
But one final thing that we can do that's a kind of a little bit of a hacky thing that I've set up simply because it's helping me develop this stuff.
Okay.
In your basic pattern function, replace the 3 numbers with time 1 as one word, no spaces, time 2, and time 3. Each
time,
one is
like the word time, the number 1.
Time the number 1.
Okay.
Time the number 1, time the number 2, and time the number 3. Each one is a single word with no space.
Gotcha.
And then upload that to the glove set. And so we can get a pseudo real-time updating of each individual pattern. There's a lot of background stuff that enables this right now, but basically if you use the variables time 1 through time 4, they are they're compatible with what we're about to do.
Shit, okay.
So it should it should go back to strobe.
Yep.
Now go ahead and open the serial monitor.
Okay.
We're gonna put a square bracket, and then let's say, what kind of timing would you like to test? Like the ones we were doing before.
The one that I was hoping to make by the end of the stream is like a DOP, let's say.
A DOP. Okay, that's like 2 milliseconds on, so we're gonna go square bracket 2, comma, 13 milliseconds off, comma, 0. And you can actually just put and then a closing square bracket. You can actually just put the closing square bracket instead of the 0 because it defaults to 0 if you don't give it anything.
Sure.
And then go ahead and click enter, and you should see your gloves have updated to be DOPs instantly.
Is that what DOPs look like, really?
2.13.0. And
oh yeah, that's different. Shit.
And then you can go 1, 3, or 1, 3 square bracket open, 1, 3 square bracket close, and then you'll have like ultra DOPs, like ghost.
So let me try to do this and show what we got. So I have 1, 3 in this little bar right here.
Make sure to put them in the square brackets.
Yes, they're in square brackets. This is what it is right now. Let's click send. And now we have ultra DOPs. Holy shit.
Boom.
Wow.
There you go. So you can use this to real-time test. There we go. Yeah, you can use this to real-time test your different ideas for pattern timings.
Holy shit. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. It's super fun, and I've been using it a lot, and I've actually been enjoying that little tool.
Wow. Okay,
but
so
this is kind of the backdoor way.
Really quick, just a reminder on what the 3rd and 4th digits are when it shows up.
Yes, the 3rd digit is the gap time. The 4th digit is unused in basic pattern.
Okay, so it's just irrelevant.
It's ready. It's prepared for modes that take up to 4 variables.
Gotcha. Damn.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Okay.
So right now it's really only good for mode testing, and anyone who watches this and wants to go into the editing and doing some mode testing themselves, they can take advantage of the square bracket system to and input and update real-time adjustments to their pattern. However, this is also the foundation for a future application which would be able to do the same thing on your desktop, drag and drop sliders around that would do the same thing and real-time update and show you previews on your lights. So all of this refactoring is for simplification, convenience, and preparation for that eventual app that everyone really wants.
Oh my god.
And the hybrid, variable hybrid patterns that people have been asking about.
Damn.
So yeah, so that's my job right now. While I wait for the wires to arrive, I make the gloves a little better.
Holy shit. Wow.
That was a very thorough tutorial. I'm very pleased.
That was crazy. Holy shit.
We only got into some of the basics, but we covered all of the basics.
Yeah, we have a good foundation now. So now every stream hereafter is just like pure creative nonsense. Like,
yep. And what's cool is once I've gotten to the bottom of the pattern list, I've only done about half of them basically. They'll all have a function where you can just call the function, give it the timing values, and you will have a new pattern. And so I'll try and make it so that you can copy and paste, and it'll dynamically add the modes to the list, or maybe I don't know. I want to make it as convenient as possible to create copies, because you could have the same pattern 9 different ways with just 9 different timings, and all you'd have to do is just add to the list. So I want to make that really convenient and easy, because I imagine people do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Obviously, the more simple the better when it comes to all of this, because as in depth as it is, it's insane to see these effects in real time. Like, this is crazy.
Isn't that cool? And it's because you guys, when we were all developing together, you guys kept on talking about how Vector can do real-time previewing, and Vector can do these slidings and stuff, and I was like, okay, well, mine isn't set up for that. But then I was looking at it, and I was like, well, mine's really messy. It's kind of hard to read, and I feel like people are actually going to read it now. So I have to start learning on how to write things in ways that people can read them, and ways that I can read them, and then...
So since you were starting over anyway, fuck it, why not?
Yeah. While I'm at it, might as well lay the groundworks for the other things they want.
Wow. Well,
yeah.
I gotta tell you, all this shit is fucking bonkers, man.
It's so fun. I am having a little bit of fun making it, but I'm having a lot of fun sharing it.
Wow. This is crazy. Crazy.
So if you want to fuck around with things after the stream when I'm not available, or if I'm not available, if you see any of these functions in the first several modes, you can just copy the name of the function and then put your own variables in to make your own pattern.
So for example, another one that isn't basic function. So let's go like all the way to the top. And see what we got
line 467. So basically the first 17 patterns have been converted, and they're mostly bug free. Yeah.
Oh, you have them for each you said only 17 that you've done?
Up to 17, yeah.
What the fuck?
And then you can see that dash stops has a commented out line with the format. It says the dot duration, the off duration, and the dash duration. Line 466. I'm going to have the format for each pattern.
Explain what
listed above it. Yeah, and maybe even a short description.
Fucking awesome. Oh my God.
So it'll be really, really simple, really straightforward. Really clear. You can copy any of those functions and put them into pattern 40, or you can put them into case 41 or case 42. You can keep on adding more cases.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so feel free to play around with that. And then anyone else who has the code, and the few others of you who have the gloves already, feel free to play around with it too.
Yep. Resources now available for you. Now everyone knows how to do this shit. Let's get crafty.
This is technically an experimental update patch of the glove set, but hopefully I'm hoping to have it fully converted and live by the time the gloves are out.
Wow.
Which, any luck, will be in days and not weeks. But it might be a week or two.
as long as it needs is what the fuck I say, because this we're all able to see the intricacies that go into this, so it's just like
it's awesome.
The fact that we've seen this come so far in such a small amount of time. Like,
I mean, that's the point. It's like a lot of these things aren't super complicated, but the foundation of understanding how it works is a little complicated. So I'm trying to take all the complicated parts out, because you guys don't care about the complicated parts. You care about the depth of control, which you can get through the complicated parts, but you don't necessarily need the complicated parts.
But it's still cool. It's
very cool. It's very cool. And I would love to do more tutorials on how to make more advanced concepts and patterns. Especially once I've refactored everything, it'll be way clear. There won't be secret variables coming out of nowhere. Every variable for every pattern will be right there in its pattern.
Love it. And we will definitely have you back to get into the even more nitty gritty.
Yep, the further nitty gritty.
Goddamn. All right, man. Well, I think we gotta call it there because holy shit, we went so far in deep.
We've been going at it.
Wow. Alrighty, man. Well, I will let you go. Thank you so goddamn much for all of the whole tutorial. I mean, that was wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm excited to just play with numbers now.
Yep. And that's it. Really is the most fun. And with a real-time update, once it's all set up and good to go for everything, it's just going to be such a blast for people with very limited experience to have a great time just fudging with the numbers. And then one day an app, like a desktop app that makes it even easier.
Definitely. Oh my god. I'm thinking like Spectra app, but like even more in depth, even more variability. Like
low key and no offense, basically a variation of Vector. Because I really like the way it was set up, but it's not designed for 10 lights at once with sequence patterns. Whereas this could be. So like basically Vector 2.0.
God damn.
Yeah, that's the goal. Something along those lines.
Wow. Well, you heard it here, folks. You know where to find us. We're gonna be coming back at it again at a later date, and we're gonna get only more complicated from here on out. So if you guys want to save this video as a resource, just as the foundations of the Vortex flashing pattern programming, as the title suggests, Vortex programming for dummies, because I am a dummy. This basically brings you the fundamentals. And fucking Shane, always a pleasure. Thank you so
man.
much.
Thank you.
And we will definitely have you back very, very soon.
Awesome.
Alrighty, man. Take it easy.
Catch you
Catch you on
later.
the flip. Oop. I think he was just saying goodbye. Wow. I am a little bit broken right now, but before we end the stream, we have one more thing to do with the tech games. Oh my god, holy shit. We're just going to announce our best light show winner. We're just going to bring up the Facebook page. Holy shit, that was like really fucking in depth. Blown the fuck away right now. Ugh, I'm gonna ask him so many questions. So yeah, I didn't want to keep Shane on here for the tech game stuff. That's just kind of, he's been sitting here chatting up a storm with me. I don't want to keep any more of his time. We're just going to be knocking this out of the park. But yeah, really quick, I just wanted to close out the stream just showing the 3 candidates, their light shows from the Pit Battles page. I think we've garnished all the votes that we're probably going to get from the post itself. Which, by the way, Pit Battles fucking page is active as all hell. How many fucking... Even Joe Cosmo fucking commenting on it too. That's... there we go. Fucking hype activity. I was saying the same thing as I was kind of watching the votes come through. We have a shitload of votes. That's crazy. But yeah, let's just give our honorable mentions to these 3 guys. Once again, Tech Games. Can we fucking give a round of applause for everyone who fucking competed, everyone who did an amazing job, which is everybody that competed. Holy crap. I'm still reeling on how much fun that was, and we're definitely going to be coming up with a new idea for the next one. So be on the lookout if you have any ideas in general for competition that you would like to see. If you want to compete in, let us know. Yeah, let's just give our due diligence. As you can see, the winner, I mean, Megasloth, we get it. Okay, you're great. I get it. Okay, we get it. You're awesome. You get the controls. But I still want to look at everyone's videos because they're just fucking awesome. I'll just pull it up here. Bam, bam. Honestly, you know, for anyone who didn't vote for Euphoric Show and the Bee Boo Boo Bop vibes, I mean, shame on you. 26 of you. I had to vote for 2D because I was like, hey man, I love that show. I liked it. But yeah, let's fucking close this bitch out, huh? Lower the volume slightly. There you go. Good people. That was a long one. That was crazy. Hope you bookmark this page if you have a Vortex Gloveset. Hopefully this was a good resource for you guys. We're just going to be pulling up our 3 candidates for the best tech games light show. And we're just going to be closing our stream on that. Obviously, we're going to be closing with the show of our winner, the boy. It's Megasloth. But obviously, we got to watch 2D. We got to watch Euphoric. We got to pay our respects to the boys who pulled it off, made it to the finals. I'm going to shut the fuck up now. I love you. Peace out.
See my face when I slide through every place I will find you. Every time we fell apart, girl, I see it in the scars. Baby, hold my hand. Let me be your man. Let me take you away from the cold. Baby, be my diamonds and gold. Wander through the dead with you caught up in my head. Thinking I'ma flip and fill my brain with lead. I'ma end my life without you. Baby, let's just see what these clouds do. I'm not so perfect, baby, are you worth it? Come right here, hey. Girl, let me see you work it. Now we closing curtains, come right here.
I don't care what you say. That was a fucking great show. God damn it. 2D. Awesome shit.
I was wondering if you could play that song again.
Which one, man?
The one that goes beep boop boop bop, beep boop boop beep bop bop, beep boop boop beep bop
Boop bop,
beep boop boop beep boop bop, beep boop boop bop
bop,
beep boop boop beep bop bop, beep boop boop beep boop
boop bop,
beep beep boop boop bop bop.
beep boop boop bop, boop beep boop boop beep boop bop, beep boop boop beep bop,
Beep bop
boop boop beep boop bop, bop, beep boop boop bop,
bop
boop beep boop boop beep boop bop, beep bop boop beep boop boop
beep bop boop beep bop
bop,
beep boop boop bop beep boop boop beep bop bop, beep boop boop beep bop
boop bop,
beep boop boop beep boop bop beep boop boop bop
bop,
beep boop boop beep bop bop, beep boop boop beep boop
boop bop,
beep beep boop boop bop bop.
beep boop boop bop, boop beep boop boop beep boop bop, beep boop boop beep bop,
Beep bop
boop boop beep boop bop, bop, beep boop boop bop,
bop
boop beep boop boop beep boop boop beep bop, boop beep boop boop beep bop, boop beep bop,
boop bop.
Oh my god. I get it, okay? I get Megasloth 1, but god damn, that show was awesome. And we're gonna close out our stream with our winner. You know what it is. You know what we do. Thank you guys so much for coming by. If you guys own a Vortex Gloveset, be sure to save this video as a resource for all the fundamentals on programming. After this light show, I'll be closing it down. Megasloth, make sure to message me regarding shipping details and all that stuff. I'll be sure to message you as well. I love you guys. I'll catch you on the flip. That was disgusting.